What's up to all my Tokyo to LA subscribers? It's Brandon.
Bitch looking and I think she a flirt. I was inside my shoes and X on my shirt. It's me once and you be dead on the first.
Obviously my hair is getting longer, life is good. Definitely sunny weather out here in Southern California. It's amazing. So with this video, it's going to be applying to multiple different countries, not just Japan specifically. My background, for the subscribers that already know. However, there's going to be new viewers that don't know necessarily who I am or what this channel's about. I was living in Tokyo, Japan for approximately 7 years. 7年ぐらい東京に住んでいました。でも今アメリカに住んでいます。So now I live in America. If you're contemplating on dating a Japanese girl or any girl that would be considered a foreigner to you or you're a foreigner to them, you're not from the same host nation, there's some things you may want to consider prior to dipping and indulging into the actual relationship itself. Now for this video, I'm going to be using specifically Japan because based off my experiences and things that I know. I was there for 7 years, obviously I learned something. Number one, social media. Social media can actually be a downfall for a lot of various things and different reasons. However, it can actually be a really good tool to use if you're planning on getting in a relationship with somebody. One trend that I did notice, in particular when you're dating females or even just making friends, you'll notice that some girls tend to always restart their social media accounts or flat out just delete them. That's going to be a red flag right there. Now, it could be also a good thing, like they want to start fresh with you. They want to have a good, fresh start. But what is the reason as to why that fresh start is going to be needed? In Japan, it's a small circle.
See, if I can't trust you, Greg, then I have no choice but to put you right back outside the circle. And once you're out, you're out. There's no coming back.
Well, I would definitely like to stay inside the circle.
Pretty much everyone knows each other, and specifically to the big cities like Yokohama or Tokyo, even places like Osaka. A lot of the foreigners know each other. Within that circle of trust, they're going to know a various amount of girls. Everyone's going to know each other. So that could be one reason as to why social media accounts will be deleted before getting into a relationship with you. That's something you need to consider. Number two, try to take advantage of taking your significant other to different locations that may be populated with a lot of different foreigners, all right? So you may be kind of asking yourself, what do I mean by that? In Japan, I'm not sure if a lot of women go to the same acting school, but when they're kind of jammed up into something, they kind of tense up or they run. So that's something that if you were to put them in that scenario where if they're not hiding anything, there's no reason to be tensed up or run. For me, based off my experiences, sometimes I go to locations in Yokohama. There's pubs everywhere, and I know that if you go to Japan, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Legit, just called pub. You can also go to Roppongi, near the Tokyo Tower. Just walk down the street and see what happens. You'll be surprised as the response from the person that you're dating and the responses of people that know that person that you're dating. So that would definitely be a red flag. Or if they flat out try to just avoid the scenario altogether, going out with you, if they seem as though they're kind of intimidated doing such actions, that is a red flag as well too. To coincide with that, if they live in a different prefecture, but they don't have a problem traveling more than 30 minutes to go see you, that could be a red flag. The reason why I say that is because in Japan, it's really based off of prefectures. In America, we would call them like counties or whatever, or like state lines. Think of it for that concept. But in their prefecture, they're leaving the location where people know them best, and they're willing to travel. Not a lot of people are willing to travel throughout Japan on a consistent basis. So I know for girls, especially when I was first living in Japan, I was dating a few girls that would travel, some would travel 2.5 hours, 3 hours to come see me. And later on I would learn like, they have some other type of relationship going on in a different prefecture that they don't want me to know or be aware of. So that's something else that will definitely raise a red flag. All right, so it's a common saying that birds of a feather, they tend to flock together. That is very true for Japan. A lot of girls They go through a phase and then it stops. And a lot of girls, they go through a phase and it doesn't stop, where they're just constantly going out, constantly partying. Keep in mind, Japan is a big country where sex does sell. So some girls, they never break that habit. It kind of just rides with them for the rest of their life, and that's something that they carry over into the relationship. Something to be wary about. Definitely a red flag. So if you're messing around with the girl, you're dating with the girl, and you want to get serious, like you're possibly thinking about marriage, definitely try to critique her, what she does in her free time, and what type of people she's hanging out with. You know, you'll be surprised at stuff that you'll find out. All right, in regards to marriage, it's really important that you know your person that you're really considering about getting married to. What coincides with marriage is visa, kids, things of that nature. You need to consider, how are you going to be changing the life of this individual if you do decide to get married with this person? Is there going to be a huge beneficial factor for them? Is there going to be a huge benefactor for you? What is the real reason as to why they want to get married to you? 9 times out of 10, if you're a foreigner and you're dating someone who's Japanese or from a different host nation, and I've heard this 1,000 times, you know, you're not the first one, the first foreigner that they ran into. It's like 90% you're not going to be the first one. It's like a trial and error. Now, why was there a trial and error? This is something that you need to think about, even if it's just dating as well too. Some people, they carry over their bad habits to other relationships, and the whole, oh, I'll just stop with this guy, I'll get a new guy. You know, different cultures, different beliefs, different backgrounds. So being fast and consistent may be frowned upon in some cultures, but in other cultures it's not. So if you're going to Japan, let's say, you know, take the opportunity to get to know a lot of people. Got my whole game posted on. Ambitious. That's how I was able to get so many unique experiences. Don't be afraid to make friends, because that can really help you out. Making the connections and making a good cohesive circle will definitely help you out in the long run, whether it be you want to move back to Japan and get a job, or if you're just visiting, you need a place to stay. Making the connections does help. And it does apply to when you're dating a Japanese girl as well too. A lot of the connections you make, they may have been in Japan longer than you. They may have seen or heard different things from years back that you don't have the opportunity here because it happened well before your time in that location. And this has happened to me as well too. You know, I did 7 years in Japan. However, before, you know, 4 years prior, one girl I was dating was doing some crazy stuff in Tokyo. I had no idea. But although I was able to make connections, some people really do care and will, you know, give you a heads up like, hey, just to let you know, you know. So it would benefit you that if you use your friends and your connections to know exactly what's going on and the type of people that you have around you. So the country of Japan is really big on applications and phone apps.
I call up the plug, let's go. I hop in the phone, let's go. I get out
Apps such as Line, I think there's one for the Korean, like a Cow Talk or something like that. Those apps are really famous. A lot of people don't even use the phone numbers, they just use the specific app. And in fact, cell phone companies, they will promote the apps just to sell the phone. But they won't really even promote, like, you have a phone number. They'll promote, oh, you have a Line app. Something that you need to be wary about, your girlfriend or your boyfriend actually always on their phone. In Japan, it's such a social norm to meet new people and exchange information. You know, that could also be a negative thing as well too, if you're, you know, trying to be in a strong bonding relationship with somebody and yet they're always meeting new people and always on their phone. You know, some people, their strategy on trying to keep secrets is actually really good, and it's, you know, it's really hard to break down. But if you're able to kind of pinpoint and notice the signs, then it'll help you out in the long run. Specifically, I do have a friend that was dating a Japanese girl, and this girl was like in her 30s, and I think my friend was like early 20s at the time. But for the time that I've been in Japan, I've always seen that girl date multiple of different guys who were in the military. And I told him, I was like, hey man, just letting you know, that girl, like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, she dated like 4 or 5 of my different friends, you know, when they were your same age. You're like the age group in Japan, you know, your early 20s, and she goes after the early 20 guys that, you know, kind of young, naive, but they have money. And he was like, yo, I heard about that too. He said, man, I'm thankful that you told me that, da-da-da-da. He said she thinks I'm stupid because whenever we're together, she's on her phone, but she angles it a certain way, so it looks like she's not trying to hide what she's talking about. Until one time she was doing that and a guy popped up. It says, "Hey, what time are we gonna meet?" He could read it, and I was just like, "Man, see, I told you." He goes, "Yeah, I'm just playing stupid because it's all for the sex."
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad.
I was like, okay, I understand. At least he knew like the type of relationship that he was gonna have with that person. A lot of you guys know what a fib is, what a lie is. Try to pay close attention. It may take a few years, but try your best to remember exactly what someone has told you and the right circumstances that have happened verbatim. Just try to be confident in yourself and remember what happened, because the thing about lies is a lot of lies tend to come back around full circle, and it comes back in full effect, and I don't want to be around when it does happen.
Godzilla, it's now in Kagoshima Bay.
Kagoshima?
Godzilla Bay. All personnel intercept.
We gotta set up a defense line now.
Right.
I don't recommend that you be around either. So be cognizant of the type of lies that have taken place. Someone told you one thing, and then a year later, the story shifts, or maybe a few months later, this happened on this particular day. That's something you're gonna run into, because I definitely ran into it, and my friends have definitely ran into it. All right, money, the yen, the moolah. All right, takusan no okane amoteyamasu.
Yeah. I call up the
How
plug.
much money are you actually making, and how much money is the person actually making that you're trying to get serious with? If you, by seeing this person, are you going to be changing their life substantially, financially? You need to really consider this. Let's see. For Japan, I would say roughly about 85% of Japanese women will pay for, I'm serious, they'll pay for everything. Now, if you're unlucky, you may get the Japanese girl who flat out does not want to pay for everything. I would say that's kind of like an orange flag. It could just be based off her background and whatnot, but in the long run, if you were to get married to that person, marriage should be like a 50-50 teamwork type thing, not just like a 100-0% teamwork. So if they're like that during the relationship of, the course of the relationship, how do you think they're going to be when you get married to them? If you're always, as a foreigner, living in Japan and you're constantly paying for everything, and, I won't lie, I was in that situation before and I cut it off really fast. I've had friends who they got married because the person told them that they would change once they got married, and it only got worse from there. And it definitely got worse once the person had a kid. So many countless upon countless of stories where they impregnated the Japanese girl and she just flat out vanished.
What's up, dude?
Ninja, vanish!
She disappeared, went to a different prefecture, and you can't find her because your ass don't speak Japanese and you're not too familiar with the layout. It's just a bad scenario. So along with the whole kid scenario, with the visa and all that stuff. So that's another thing to be worried about if you're a foreigner and you're dating a Japanese woman. Just be very careful. All right, history tends to repeat itself.
Free smoke. Anybody wanted, they could get it, no joke. Call up landlord.
So things that have happened with the individual's previous relationship, 9 times out of 10, it may carry over to your relationship as well too. So if she was the type that always went out partying and whatnot and met multiple different guys, and I'm telling you, this happens like 98% of the time, especially the ones that date foreigners. I don't know why, but it does happen. They may go through a phase where, okay, I want to settle down. I've been listening to Drake lately. I want to settle down and get me a serious somebody, So they might do that for a few years. They might even have a kid, but believe me, history's going to repeat itself. I can't say that it happens all the time. It just tends to repeat itself. The whole, I want to get serious and have a kid thing, and then maybe a year later, the girls are right back in the club and doing the same scenario over again, And she just kind of suckered you in, and now she got visa because you got a kid, So now you're stuck. But if you're able to watch this video, you can notice the red flag. A lot of these girls are actually really smart. They're not stupid. These girls are educated, all right, and they speak various languages. Pay attention to how smart the individual is, because they could just pull a blanket over your head, and they're putting up an act when they're around you, but you have no idea how they are around their friends. So I would definitely recommend that you learn the host language. Learn Japanese. Learn Japanese. You need to learn Japanese. Area where things are happening to you financially, anything, and you just don't know what's going on, and it's your significant other that's pulling a blanket over you. A lot of foreigners will date Japanese girls or just date a foreign in general because it's just all for the sex. I've seen it both ways where, you know, it starts off like that. That's the baseline. That's the foundation of the relationship. But then the individual realizes, man, if I make this serious, there's a lot of things I can benefit from staying with this person, this guy or this girl. If that's the baseline of the relationship from the beginning, I would say keep it that way, because 9 times out of 10, you're not the only one that that person gave a baseline like that for, where the relationship was just sex. You're probably like guy number 25, guy number 30. You are just approachable enough for her to even consider being in a relationship with you. So that's something to be really, really wary about, all right? I've had so many friends in that same scenario where the relationship started off just sex, and then, you know, the Japanese girl or the other individual wanted to kind of, you know, make it more into like an actual relationship. I would say don't do that, because like I said, you're probably not the only one. They want to get a relationship with you because there's something about you that they can benefit from you. A lot of these girls don't want to live in their host nation. They want to move to America, or they want to move to your host nation. Be wary of that. When they date you, it's like a resume. They're getting a full package. And the girls know this. Like, if you're a foreigner living in Japan, you're 9 times out of 10, you're considered balling. Don't get me wrong, not all foreigners living there are making a lot of money, but for the high percentage of them that do live there and they're single, they are. What I mean by single is that they didn't have to marry to live in that country. If you're single, that pretty much set is a like a social status that, hey, I'm single living in Japan and I can pay my own shit. The ones that do marry, however, though, they're relying upon their spouse. But don't get me wrong, those guys do still go out and get more girls. I've seen it where guys will they'll marry a girl prefecture side, but they're always out in the city in Tokyo getting girls. They even getting your girlfriend too. That is all my red flags that I have to mention about dating a Japanese girl in Tokyo, Japan. And again, I don't want to, like, you know, spec up a lot of controversy, or maybe I do so I get more subscribers. You know, I'm definitely just bringing awareness using my experience living in Japan, and some of the things that had happened to me, some things that happened to some of my coworkers and friends. You know, people talk. I like to mentor people and put stuff out. So Japan is an awesome country. I definitely recommend that a lot of people go there and move there, experience life. And feel free to hit me up. I do have a Patreon, which is located in the corner of my my channel. Go ahead and hit that up if you guys want to, you know, send me some funds for future videos and whatnot. And I'm gonna go ahead and set up something where you, as the viewer, and I've already been doing this on the side. I enjoy doing it for free. However, I got bills I gotta pay. So that's why I say that. But yeah, the Patreon's in the top right corner. It's definitely a hot day today. I'm thinking about taking off the shirt. Have a great day wherever you guys are watching this video at, and take it easy.